Hey guys, how's it going? So what am I working on today? Well, I got a 2020 GMC Acadia, and it's in for an oil change, a tire rotation, and check the tranny fluid level. It's got 130,000 miles on it. Owner can't recall if they changed the fluid at 90,000 when you're supposed to on this. So we're going to take a look and just see the fluid condition and see if we can't figure out, was it already changed? I don't know. I'm trying something new today. I have a microphone hooked to my shirt. So we shall see. All right. So here we have the Acadia. And first things first, take your oil cap off. I always stick it on the hood latch. That way I remember it. I always pull the dipstick or the dipstick itself up too. This way, at least, just in case I forget or whatever, this way I see it and I'm like, okay, I got to remember to put oil in this thing. Getting old, you lose your mind. All right. So with that all done, just a quick general look underneath the hood. I notice it's a little low on coolant over there. If you can see that in that bottle, but it's not dramatic. So I might not see a leak because coolant does evaporate. People don't realize that. Coolant does evaporate over time. So let's put this up in the air and let's start changing the oil. Now, one thing people have asked me several times is, you change the oil hot or cold? Change it hot, warm, whatever. Like just have it running. Like this thing was just running just now. And the reason being is it suspends the debris, molecules of dirt, stuff like that. Any sediment that might have been stuck down inside the motor that would settle, it suspends it in the oil while you're changing it. So you get more debris out at the time. If you do it when it's cold, you don't get that out. Plus the oil flows much slower when it's cold. All right. Go up. All right. So we're going to pull the drain plug out. Got a gear wrench here. This drain plug's only slightly rounded, so I don't know what I'm about to expect here. Never use the geared end of a gear wrench to loosen. So there we go. And always be mindful you may get splashback when you do something like this. All right, so we're going to let that drain out. While it's draining, take a look underneath. I always say this. Check for any leaks. You can check brakes and stuff like that, but I'm going to pull the wheels off this anyway for a tire rotation. But I usually check it for leaks. I check to make sure like I don't have exhaust falling off, broken hangers, anything out of the ordinary that you wouldn't normally see, because now you're looking underneath the vehicle. So, all right, we are going to let this drain. And we're going to go outside for a minute because my Matco tool guy is here. I want to just see if he's got anything on a truck I might need. All right, so now that that's fully drained out, I had to exchange a socket with the Matco guy, one that I broke. And that was pretty much it, just looking at some stuff he had on the truck. Nothing spectacular. When you've been in the business as long as I have, you wind up with pretty much all the tools you need. You know, not like you need a whole bunch more. So I already told him that. I said, not like you're going to sell me a whole bunch of stuff. All right. And now, actually, what am I doing? I didn't take the filter off yet. Take the filter off first before you put the drain plug back in. Yeah, I wasn't thinking. I had my mind elsewhere. All right. Let's just reposition the drain. And let's see how tight that oil filter is. Probably too tight, and it is. All right. Just getting a pair of pliers to get that filter off. Sometimes you need specialty pliers. Sometimes you need specialty cups. A lot of times you can just get a pair of channel locks on it. Like this. Like this. So, no big deal. Just loosen it up till you can turn it. Now, sometimes, not all the time, watch the rate of drip from the oil plug. See, it's actually increasing. See that? The rate of drip sped up. Should have been able to see that, I hope. And the reason for that is, once you take the filter off, you have a passageway here, so oil that's caught up inside the motor starts draining. You can see it's actually picked up quite a bit. It's almost to a light stream now. All right. So now I know, let me back up a little bit. I do this to catch the filter. And then I'll let it drip for a little while longer. Now the next question comes up about the oil filter itself. Do you put oil on the seal? No, you not put oil on the seal. Honestly, I never put oil on the seal. Never have. Never wind up with leaks. But this one I'm going to prime because the filter goes straight up, so I can prime it. Now look how much oil is coming out of that where the drain plug is now. Had I had the drain plug in, that would have been all caught up inside the motor. So that's the reason for doing that. But let me show you real quick priming a filter. So this is all I really do. Now let me just make sure you can see everything I'm doing as you can. Focus in a little more. Pennzoil, there you go. And now the reason for priming is this way you're not filling this thing up with the engine running. In other words, you get oil pressure much, much quicker. If you can't do this, so be it. You're not going to hurt anything, so to speak. But if you have a chance to do it, I always do it. And while you're doing so, see it fills up and then goes down. So I got roughly a third of a quart in there, maybe a little bit more. Probably wind up with a half a quart in here. But now, like I said, I never put oil on the seal unless I'm doing this. If I'm doing this, then why not? It doesn't help, it doesn't hurt, it doesn't really change much of anything. So now, like I usually will look at the surface where the oil filter goes. Make sure there's no dirt or debris. You can wipe it off if you want to. I usually will if there's dirt and debris all over the place. But this one's clean, so why bother? So there, the gasket's, here's where the gasket actually made contact, right here. You can feel it come to a stop. And you're really only supposed to go about 3/4 of a turn. And you can feel it gets markedly tighter as you're doing it. Just stop. There's no reason to go any further. All right, so let's put the drain plug in finally. Oops. All right, just threw the drain plug. Let's try that again. And like I said before too, somebody had slightly rounded out this drain plug, but that's all right. I was able to get it off with no problem. So there, it's actually bottomed out and tight. Go just a little bit more. You don't have to go nuts. You don't have to go crazy tightening it up. All right, let me go get a rag and then let me wipe that off and brake clean it. Oh, does it? Huh? Oh, no kidding. Oh. All right. They actually don't look bad though, all considered.
Oil leaks everywhere.
Yeah. All right, so here we go. We're just wiping everything off. Let me get some brake clean. We'll just hose it off with some brake clean. So unfortunately, that popping noise you keep hearing, that bang bang, that's the lift. But that, you know, we are in a shop, so you're gonna have to listen to it. Oh, just like that. Make sure everything's clean, wipe off any residual. I mean, brake clean dries very quick, but I like to just make sure I get everything off of there. So now we're gonna go on to doing a tire rotation. So actually, before we rotate the tires, we're gonna check tire pressure. This one was already missing a valve cap, as you see. I think I have some extras that I can put in there. So really nothing special, just sending the tires to spec. And you gotta remember, hot tires will measure higher than cold tires. And I will usually set tire pressures a little bit above what the recommendation is. Like if it calls for 34, I'll set them to 36. If it calls for 36, I'll set them to 38. My own car calls for 34, I put them to 40. My truck, I actually put to 45. And people ask why I do that, and in all honesty, I find I get better tire life and I get slightly better gas mileage. So yes, you wind up sacrificing a little bit of a ride, but I'm okay with that. All right, so let's let this down and let's rotate the tires. All right, so here we go. I did have a valve cap. It's not the long one that's supposed to be on there, but at least this protects the valve. Use the right socket, because otherwise, especially this style with the chrome overlay, you can actually round the overlay around the actual lug and create a problem. All right. So we'll lay those down. Let me go to the back wheel here. All right. Now we're going to do one side at a time. And always try to get yourself into a rhythm of doing the same thing over and over again. And the reason for that is if you do the same thing over and over again, the likelihood of you forgetting to tighten a wheel is greatly reduced. So now what we're going to do, come with me over here. Now with the wheel off, now's your chance to take a look at the brakes. So as you can see, our brakes themselves are in pretty good shape. They're getting low. The outer pad is getting low. So I think we're going to tell this guy that he's going to need brakes next time around. That's rear brake. It should go, I say it'll go to next oil change, no issue. But that's what you do, is you check the brakes. And then the fronts, I could see that they were already replaced at some point, so they're CarQuest. But got plenty of meat on the pad. Inner pad, yeah, looks pretty good. And just give a general look. No broken spring that I can see, no leaking strut. Everything looks fine there. So, all right, let's put the wheels back on, then we're going to rotate the other side. All right, we still didn't rotate the other side. I'm just going to do that next. But put the lugs on, got the wheel up in place. Go slow and easy going back in place, because you also want to center the wheel. So that's good enough for now. So then this way, when we let it down, we can torque it. You do that because you don't want to let it down on the ground to torque the wheels, to find out that like you had it off just slightly, and then, you know, torquing it down, you can actually bend the rim, you know, all sorts of weird stuff you can do. You can create knocking noises too. So something to consider. All right, let me do the other side. I'm not going to film that whole thing though. Now, before you do anything else, now that it's down on the ground, torque your wheels. And actually, I got to cut the wheels a little bit so I don't hit the body. And these go to 140 foot-pounds. Now, how well you can see what I'm doing. Let me bring you over here. And you go every other. You go in a circular pattern. You don't go to the next lug. You go in a circular pattern. So I did this one, this one, this one. Now I'm going to do this one, this one, this one. Because this is a 6 lug. Like I said, these go to 140. All right, so let me do all the other ones, and then we're going to put the oil in this. All right, so now we add the oil to it. I got my trusty 1-quart container that I cut and made a funnel out of. So that's the rest of that 1 quart. Oops. Too much of an angle, it won't let it sit. Okay, that's good enough. Now with the 1 gallon, actually this is a 5-quart container, I believe. Yep, 5 quart, because this thing holds 6. If you pour from the side, you don't get the glug, glug, glug. You pour this way, it has tendency to glug, glug, glug. Go from the side, you get a smooth pour. I know some of you don't know that, so I figured I'd show you that. So I got a few comments the last time on the last video. And if you recall underneath, I did not see any signs of coolant leakage. So I'm not really concerned. Like I said, coolant will evaporate. It's mostly water. Like to get everything out if possible. So there we go, that's good. I'll let the funnel drip off for a minute. We can put the dipstick in. Now for the coolant, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add water to it. Let me go get some. All right, now usually what I'll do is I'll take a container, I'll actually mark it water, but I always leave the cap off. This way I know just by a quick visual that that one has water only in it. Now the reason I'm putting straight water in it is because I don't have to add much. That was like less than a half a quart. You figure less than a half a quart and 130,000 miles, that's nothing. All right, so that's good. Now let's take our deluxe funnel out. Make sure you don't spill anything on the car. Put our cap back on. Put my funnel away in the oil drain. And let's start this thing up. All right, so let's go start this thing up. Yeah, pay attention to the ProMaster, and all of a sudden you'll see the lights are flashing. Foot on the brake. I had already reset the oil life when I first pulled it in. And to do so, you basically go through the checklist on here and you get to the information and shows the oil change is due. And then you press and hold the check button, that's all. I also believe on these, you can get into the run mode and hit the gas pedal 3 times to the floor. 1, 2, 3, and it'll reset, I believe. All right, so now that it's running, let me go double check the oil. Oh, radio. All right, so now that we just had it running, it's off. Pull the stick, wipe it off, stick it back in, and verify your level. And our level is about 3/4 of the way up on there. So that's good. Now, this thing does not have a dipstick. So how do you check the transmission fluid? That's a good question. I'm not even sure. I got to look this up. So let me go look this up, and then we're going to check the transmission fluid. I'm assuming it's going to be got to be running an Impark, and then you pull a plug out and see if the fluid's dripping out. Usually that's how it is. Okay, so at the back side of the tranny, you can see that right there. That is the fill plug, or the fill level plug. What you do is you pop that out. That's an 11 millimeter head, not 11 millimeter bolt, 11 millimeter head. And what you want to look for is fluid coming out, but not like flowing out. You want to see it dribbling out. No real good way to get my hand in there and have you see this at the same time. Oh, okay. Actually, hold on a second. Let me get a cup. All right, what I do is I have these McDonald's cups hanging around for just this purpose, because I want to be able to drop some fluid out and look at it. Now, unfortunately, I might have to put you to the other side, like here. You still see where it's sticking out of. Straighten the wheels a little bit. Yeah, there's no good way for me to get my hand in here. All right, so the fluid level is okay. However, this fluid is nasty. All right. Took a little sample out. Let me tighten that drain plug up. I said drain plug, I mean fill plug, I mean level check plug. And there again, these you don't have to make brutally tight. That's good enough. Leave it alone. Don't go nuts tightening them up. Because you do, you're just going to wind up with a problem. All right, so that's good. Let me get that light out of here. And then let's look at the fluid. All right, so there's your fluid. That's nasty. Yeah, I would not service this. I'd leave it alone. Servicing it could make it worse. He's got a complaint about a shifting issue, like it's kind of harsh here and there. Honestly, I wouldn't change that fluid. Why would it make it worse? Honestly, I don't know the real reasons, other than you're changing that old fluid that has sediment into it, over time from going through the transmission, and changing it and putting clean fluid in there. You kind of wash all that stuff away. Is the dirt holding it together, so to speak? Maybe. I don't know. All right, so we're going to inform the customer on this. I'm going to clean that off real quick, and we're going to end this video. But here, I just want you to see. I already wiped it down. But I want to brake clean it from both sides. So this way, in case somebody else looks at this, they don't think there's a leak. Now, one thing I want to point out, with this vehicle in particular. Has nothing to do with this vehicle though. Remember how I said just looking things over can give you a good idea of what's going on with this car in the past? Let me just show you something. So there is the AC lines, no caps. Look at that clamp that's on that breather tube that's going to the housing there, the air housing, whatever you want to call that thing, air muffler, air intake, inlet thing. So that right there tells me somebody's been in here doing some kind of work. Why they would use that clamp, why they wouldn't put those caps back on the AC, who the heck knows. But not for me to wonder why right now. All right, that's it. Hopefully you got something out of the video. If you did, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. All right, guys, have a great day. Keep wrenching. I hope the audio came out better with this. We'll find out.